Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles episode review. This one's going to be for Season 4, Episode 24, The Tale of Tigerclaw. Overall, a pretty good episode. I actually really enjoyed this one. Finally getting some, I suppose, insight into Tigerclaw as a character. And really, I definitely take this as like the episode where they're removing him from just being like another one of the villains. They're kind of elevating him to, he is important. He's maybe a little bit below like Shredder, but he's much more important than like Bebop, Rocksteady, Razar, and all the Fish Face or whatever his name is. He's much more important than them, and we always knew that to a degree. We always knew that there was this kind of story there behind like his injuries and especially the loss of his tail. I think he'd mentioned that before in a previous episode. But kind of just having an episode to get his backstory, introduce a new character that is related to him, give him a tragic backstory as well in a way, and kind of make it a little bit of a darker episode as well with how this relationship ends up going. I think it really worked well. The only thing you could question is just the timing. Like, why would you wait until right now? Like, what is happening that you are suddenly needing to shift and make Tigerclaw more important than he otherwise was? Why is this happening right now? In that, as far as I'm aware, the next two episodes, the last two episodes of the season, are kind of like the two finale episodes, the two big ones. So unless he's going to do something really big in these episodes, I'm not exactly sure kind of how meaningful this episode is, even though I do think it is a very notable episode for Tigerclaw. In that I feel like a lot of the villains could use something like this episode to kind of really elevate them to the point where we care. As I said, the four I listed off earlier, Bebop, Rocksteady, Razar, and Fishface, all characters who I just don't think are incredibly interesting. I think we've completely forgotten about like kind of who they were. They're just mutant characters who the Turtles fight from time to time. Whereas at least now Tigerclaw is like interesting. There's something to him, that he's been through a lot, and where they go obviously from here is going to be interesting. But let's get into this. So the new character we're introduced to here is a fox mutant called Alopex, I think is the name. Really interesting design in that she kind of is a kind of ninja, kind of kunoichi, in the sense of like she has the kind of ninja headband, like kind of Naruto style, but like different. And then her outfit kind of reminded me of Tamari from Naruto as well. So there's kind of a couple of Naruto references with her, and the fact that she's a fox as well with Naruto as well, the nine-tailed fox. That was kind of quite fun. But like introducing her and immediately connecting her to these kind of legendary kind of double scythes that kind of have a curse where if you cut someone with it, they basically get bad luck. That they're basically going to be killed nearly every kind of time they try to do anything. That happens to Casey. And then the big reveal with her is obviously that she is Tigerclaw's sister. And we kind of get the idea of who they were before they were mutated, and that they were brother and sister. This portal opened in front of them. They walked into it thinking it was going to be something amazing. They were captured by the Krang, experimented on, and morphed into a tiger mutant and a fox mutant. And then the backstory that they give is very, very interesting with this idea of they managed to break out, but where they went afterwards, getting back to Earth, they realized that they were both mutants and they couldn't just be normal in society. This kind of background thing that we've been kind of touching upon but have never really delved into all that much, the idea that mutants can't just roam Earth because they are mutants and they wouldn't be accepted. They haven't fully committed to that, but with this one they kind of get this idea of like, because of that, they were forced into the only place that would accept them, which was like the criminal underworld and doing assassination things where once you get the job done, that's fine. But as we kind of later find out, Alpex, it seems like, didn't want to initially do any of this, that it was just Tigerclaw who kind of came up with this idea and she just went along with it. So she blames him for kind of putting her on this kind of immoral path, I suppose. And that is an interesting dynamic because they are brother and sister, and this idea that she eventually got to a point where she just had enough, and then basically fought him, cutting off his tail and leaving, and she got injured by him. We don't know exactly know how she was injured, but he thought he had basically mortally wounded her as she escaped. Turns out she's fine. We don't know if she has lingering injuries like Tigerclaw does or not, but still, just the fact that like she cut his tail off, and then as we see later on in the episode, their bond is one of those interesting ones. That Alopex is definitely the more kind of morally right character, in that even though she's a ninja and is willing to do all these things, she still stops short of just killing Tigerclaw there and then, because, as she says, like, he is her only remaining family member. But as she goes to walk away, having spared him, he pulls the gun out and she immediately just like darts back, slices his arm off, and it definitely was one of the darker moments of the show. They obviously didn't show it incredibly like gruesomely, but they showed it in a way where it was very clear what had just happened. They made references to the fact that it was quite bloody, with the fact that the turtles were, all of them were shocked by this happening, even though Raph kind of makes a joke about it. Oh, now you can't clap. It was still a shocking moment within the show that we haven't really seen a massive amount. Like we saw like prior to the time travel stuff, Splinter impaled by Super Shredder. We saw Splinter with his really badly injured leg a couple of episodes ago. So they're definitely trying to move things to being more kind of violent to a degree, emphasizing that things are getting very serious now and characters are getting hurt. Casey was nearly killed multiple times within the episode. And even though they kind of played it for comedy as they went through the episode, it was still really fun to just see the various ways where like Casey just doing normal things would just gradually get in trouble. And then in the like final like action scene, as he's trying to destroy the blades to lift the curse, the way he like makes this kind of beeline across the battlefield, and all the other turtles in April are the only thing that keeps him alive as he runs across the battlefield. That he just runs, and everyone else like lifts him or like blocks things. Like Raph takes a laser hit to his shell. April blocks a bunch of shurikens. Mikey basically does this kind of spin move where he kind of gets Casey through safely, and eventually, with the help of April primarily, kind of gets all the blades broken, and the curse is lifted. So that's definitely an interesting one, and you know, I suppose there's not too much else to the episode, but I just really do appreciate that this episode elevated a character, and I'm interested to see where they go with Tigerclaw. I assume he's going to get some sort of mechanical arm or something like that, or he'll have some form of weapon attached to it. They could do something with mutation or something like that to maybe give him some sort of an arm back. Either way, I don't expect him to like keep that like that, just have a stump and only be one-handed. Maybe he will, maybe he has some sense of honor and he will do that, but we're not fully sure exactly what's going on. The other thing was that at the very start of the episode, we did get a hologram of Shredder, kind of revealing that he's still struggling a little bit with his mutagen, but he's on the verge of becoming stable within this new form. And a stable Super Shredder basically eliminates his kind of only weakness, really. So that is kind of a dangerous thing happening. And as we approach the finale episodes, he's kind of reaching his kind of peak strength, so it's going to be a real challenge for the Turtles and Splinter. Splinter actually had a very interesting scene here, in that it seems like his leg is fully healed. Very quickly off screen, I suppose a decent amount of time has passed in between episodes, and it makes sense that he's healed. And he basically teaches them the drunken fist style of kind of ninja arts, kind of, that he just drinks and ends up dodging them in very unique ways and fighting them differently. And because he didn't just fight them like normally aggressively and like fought them in an odd way, they really struggled with it. And the lesson is ultimately that you can fight differently and have an advantage over your opponent, but your opponent can do that as well, and you have to learn to adapt to the various different fighting styles that enemies can actually employ. I thought it was meant to be a reference to Alopex and how fast she was, but they never really went anywhere with it. So maybe that's a lesson that's more meant to be something for the finale when it comes up. But I didn't really feel like the Turtles in the episode and the way they fought kind of acknowledged this a massive amount. But either way, that was cool. April got some cool moments in that her powers allowed her to basically be the only one to kind of have an advantage over Alopex and actually like stop her. I think she was the one who ended up kind of saving her in the process and kind of getting Alopex on their side. So that's that. She's still out there. I don't exactly know where they're going to go with her as a character, as we I suppose go into like season 5 and maybe the finale. Obviously Tigerclaw's not dead. We may see him want revenge and go heavily against her, and maybe her siding with the turtles and something like that. They may elevate Tigerclaw to the point where he's very powerful. I'm not exactly sure, but in the comments let me know what your thoughts were on this episode. But I think I'm going to bring it to an end here, so I'll just end by saying link to my Twitter, Tumblr, Patreon campaign and PayPal donation link are in the description if you want to follow me on social media or help support my channel so I can make more videos, better videos. But yeah, that's been today's video. Thanks for watching, and bye.